Let us stand for a moment of silent meditation. And during that time, let us remember the late Superintendent Bill Roberts. Thank you. The pledge. I will pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Tuesday, February 18th, 2020 school board meeting. And to start, we don't have any amendments to the agenda. Do we have any public comment? Okay, all right.
No public.
Scanning the room, there is no public comment. We'll move on down to the consent agenda items. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Properly moved by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Williamson to accept the consent agenda items. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor? Opposed? 5-0, motion carried. Number 5, items for individual consideration. FSBIT presentation. Mr. Joseph.
Okay, we have the representative from the FSBIT, and we met with him at our last regional meeting, and he was just talking about some things, and I asked him would he come and just do the presentation to the board. So we'll start later.
Thank you much. And aside for a lot of the other items that we're working on with Madison, one of the new things that we're working on is disaster recovery. We're finding out that many of our districts, because we deal with so many small and mid-size, do not really have a formal plan in place or have the resources if a disaster would hit. Mainly because you don't have the local resources for that. So what we've been doing for the last year and a half now is contacting regional vendors to see if we can put in some kind of plan so that our members are the first they hit whenever there's a disaster or any kind of damage, large-scale damage that occurs at the districts. So we've narrowed the list down to about 3 different vendors. These vendors would be the ones that if a disaster, a large-scale disaster occurred at the district, our team, our risk control team, and our property people out of FSBIT would come out to the district right after the disaster is safe for us to get into the area. Not only working with your facilities and purchasing departments, but being there to inspect all the buildings and all the areas to find out what is needed right away. And then through the vendor that we picked through a contract, they would already have the resources in play or in place before a disaster would occur and actually get things going within hours as opposed to waiting days for protection of the property and for the recovery of the property. We found one of our members a few years ago had water enter one of their buildings. It took them 6 or 7 days before they had a vendor actually in there to start removing the water, the moisture, the humidity. And it actually added another 1.5 years for that building to get back up to speed because at that point we had mold and mildew in many of the areas. So we're trying to set up a program so that this no longer happens, that we get the resources in right away, they protect the building with the tarps and the water removal, and then the repairs can start quicker as opposed to later. Now, what we've been presenting to boards is this is going to be a little bit different for you as a board and your district. That means your facilities person, although it's gonna be a team effort, we're gonna be the ones that are gonna be generating, having the vendors come in and doing the work and paying the vendors directly, so that we have more control over the vendors and we get first dibs on them. Because there's a lot of vendors out there that once they find out it's for a municipality or school district, they might go to someplace else where the money flows a little bit quicker. If it comes directly from us, we pay directly. We pay right away as soon as the invoices start coming through. Also, we're working with the vendor to create a direct line to FEMA, so that as repairs are being completed, they're being submitted to FEMA right away. I don't know if you know, but at FEMA, if you wait till the end and then put in a FEMA request,
Money's gone.
if it's, say, $1 million, how many people at FEMA have to sign off on that $1 million? A lot, and it takes time. But if you submit the invoices as they go, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, you've got one person at FEMA signing off on that. And the FEMA money moves quicker. So that's the plan. That's why we're going out to all the school boards, explaining the plan and getting your questions and concerns about such a plan.
Sounds good.
We do have a couple of districts that do have already some vendor agreements in place. We can still work with those if you do have it. But we would also be that back end. Let's say a district has an agreement with a local water removal company, and they're basically wiped out the same as you may be during a hurricane. Then our vendor slides in right behind, and you don't have to worry about trying to find another vendor.
I've got a question. This process, will it be in a separate agreement we have to sign with your company, or is that part of our coverage?
It'll be part of the coverage, and you can opt in or opt out. The hope is that we get all of the members to opt in so that we have that kind of power with the vendors. We do have 2 school districts, again, that do have agreements in place, but we're trying to work a piggyback on top of that so that we can still use their numbers in our bidding process.
Scott, I like the fact that things will be done in a timely manner, and it seems, to me, it makes me think it's gonna be an organized fix. In other words, we won't have to be looking for vendors, and I like the plan.
Yes,
I've already heard it because I am the representative for FISBIT, that's why I've been familiar with it.
One of our biggest concerns is the lag time between when things are actually even reported to us on damage. We had a wind event at one of our other members and didn't find out about damage 6 months afterwards.
Oh, wow.
And it was actually very difficult to us to pay claim when some of the stuff was moved, removed, and we had no way of what it was we had water coming into a building which was housing a lot of books and other materials that were very susceptible to water. And they removed all of them, threw them all away, and we had no proof of what was in there. Even the school district wasn't even sure what was in that space. So one of the things about this is with our team coming out right away and not just relying on the district to tell us what's going on, we'll get a faster turnaround even on the claims of materials and damage.
Got another question for clarification. If we sign on to this process, what is the district's role? What part do we play?
Basically, I have to sit down with your department heads to kind of have a meeting of the minds so that they understand the program and how it's going to work, and any concerns that any of those department heads have. We did have some concerns from one of the school districts in the purchasing department about their paper that basically stated that anything at a certain dollar amount had to be approved through an RFP. But we did go further in the paperwork and found that under emergency and insurance was excluded from that, and we could still work the program. So that would be another thing we would do, is look through your chartered, or it's not chartered for y'all, it's policy, to make sure that there isn't anything already in there that would preclude us from doing it, or if we've got to do some kind of workaround or change. So the short answer is we try to work as a team to make sure everybody's on board at the same page.
Okay, so what's the time frame, or will you be expecting us to answer?
We're hoping at the April meeting that your representative at the physical board says that this board approved the idea of this plan, and that we could by April hopefully have a vendor picked out, and that we can start actually getting the plan in place before June 1st.
Before hurricane season.
That's it. Now, as most of you already know, I came from the Florida League of Cities. This was a program that we started at the league about 9 years ago. And one thing that we found out in this plan is the cost of claims was in half once this plan came into being. Where claims adjusters would go out and say it was $1 million loss, but because we were so proactive on this with the vendors and protecting the buildings even to prevent further damage, the claims were in half. And that was consistent throughout the 7 years that the program was in, that I was at the league. The program is so good that the vendor that we set up with the league is now national, makes lots of money. They owe me some kind of kickback on that, and I haven't gotten it yet. The only reason why we're not using them is I wrote a really good policy with them, making it very exclusive to the Florida League of Cities, so that we can't use them. But we're basically going to try to follow the same kind of program.
Tell them about some of the other type of groundwork you're doing, like the drones. What's going to be happening?
There's a couple of other initiatives we're putting together, and this doesn't require approval, so that's why we're not presenting so much to boards. But we have 3 drones now at FISBIT, and 2 pilots, soon to have 3 pilots. We go out to all the districts, do a drone survey of all the properties. This helps us when FEMA says, what kind of damage did you have? We'll have before and after pictures of damage. These drones also do infrared camera work, so that if there is water coming into the building, either after the disaster or before, we've got one, we did a survey and we found a leak going into one of the buildings, so that's getting repaired before it was much worse. And we're also doing reevaluations of the building's potential to loss. It's called a wind survey, and we're going to be doing that along with the drones. And with all that, it'll be in a new system that you all have access, where the district will have access to see all the pictures, all the movies, and all the information about your buildings. We've done it now for about 3/4 of the school districts, and some of the school districts are actually using it for other information. One school district got a grant from FEMA, and FEMA wanted proof that it was completed. We were able to send them the drone footage, and we don't have to show you. Here it is. This is what was built, and they signed off on it immediately.
The drones are scheduled to be in our district on March 16th. So they're going to do a picture of all of our school sites and office buildings.
I'm also on 3 work committees with the Department of Education on the school hardening and the active shooter, safe schools. We're going to be able to use this also when they start coming up with their requirements, which I will let I'll let board members know next week after our next meeting what's coming down the pike.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So the only action that we're looking for is that, that you talk it amongst yourselves, you talk to your department heads, make sure there's any policies that we have to work through, and whether you agree to the program. And as always, you can ask me questions at any time, 24/7, which is when you usually ask me.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
Scott.
much.
Thank you so much.
All right, item 5.2, student field trips out of county. Ms. Joseph.
Okay, Mr. Chair, we have 4 field trips being presented. The 5th grade class at Pine Island Elementary School requesting to go to SeaWorld on March 24th. It's a 1-day trip. The high school high-tech club at Madison County High School is requesting an overnight trip at Disney World, and that's being paid for by them. The cheerleaders at the high school is requesting to go to Valdosta on March 2nd. That's just an end of the year celebration for them. And I was fortunate enough to talk with someone from the Department of Transportation, and they have a career construction career day in Jacksonville at the Equestrian Center. And so we're taking a group of high schoolers there, and it's 100% paid for by them. They're even providing the transportation in that they are bringing their own bus and picking our kids up. So we don't even have to use our bus.
Well, good.
But it's it's a really neat thing. I wish I could go, but all of our kids are not gonna be going corporate. And we will need someone to work in construction. And so this is a construction career day.
Good.
Sounds good.
Okay, so those are our out of county student field trips.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the student field trips out of county?
I'll make the motion to approve the out of district field trips. Second.
I have a motion and second. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. 5.3, after-school tutoring. Ms. Joseph. Okay, Mr. Blue.
Okay, Dr. Blue will do that for me.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I would like for the board to approve item 5.3, after-school tutoring for Madison County Central School and Madison County High School.
They are being paid for out of the TISA grant from the Central School and a UNICEF grant for the high school.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve the after-school tutoring.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Alford, seconded by Ms. Bell. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor? Opposed? 5-0, motion carried.
Thank you. Item 5.4, staffing table, no changes at this time.
Okay. 5.5, request for field position.
Yes. Item 5.5, asking the board to approve a secretary position funded by Title I.
Okay, well, do we have a motion to approve the secretary's position?
I move to approve the staffing table secretary position.
Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Bell. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor? Opposed? 5-0, motion carried.
Thank you. Item 5.6, I would like for the volunteers to be approved, please.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the volunteers?
Make the motion to approve the volunteers.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second to approve the volunteers. Would there be a need for the discussion? All in favor? Raise your hand. Opposed? 5-0. Motion carried to approve the volunteers.
Thank you. Also, item 5.6, personnel changes to be approved as well.
All right.
Do you need to, like, not,
I need to accuse myself on that one.
on just one? So, so I'm gonna make the motion that we approve all the personnel changes except Mr. Morris Bell,
Okay.
and that one will be done individual.
Okay. We're gonna pull that particular position and vote on the remainder of the positions. I have a motion on the floor by Ms. Williamson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor? Oppose? 4-0.
Okay, now I would like to make the recommendation that we approve Mr. Morris Bell.
Okay, have a motion on the floor to approve the position to be filled by Mr. Bell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, have a motion and second. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor? Oppose?
And the minutes reflect Ms. Bell recused.
Okay, 4-0, and let the minutes reflect that Ms. Bell was recused. And also for the record, it was 5-0 on the previous one. Mixed up. So the motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Blue. All right, item 5.7, monthly financial reports. Ms. Ely.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
I am proud to sit here and let you know that currently the school system is in good financial shape and they are able to meet their obligations, and that makes me very proud because I am a finance person and have been one for over 35 years. And we are having a problem with food service, but food service is a problem for anybody who offers food services, no matter who you are, because their job is to make sure that all the students are provided the best meal they can eat, because some of these kids will have only that meal for the day. Also, we were able to meet all the checks that needed to be printed, signed, and delivered. And everybody seemed to be happy with what we were doing.
If you give them money.
We didn't receive any threatening calls or anything of that nature. This is dealing with the audit of the records for the 18-19 year. I'm currently in the process of making the adjustments which the auditor has required of the system in order for us to come into regulation. And there are not that many. She gave me 4 major changes that we have to make. And with my experience going through audits, that is wonderful news. As I said, we are in a good financial standing right now, and we hope that we finish the year in a good standing so that everybody can celebrate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would there be any questions for Ms. Ely? All right. All right, 6.1, superintendent items.
Superintendent item, my first item is that, I think y'all saw it when y'all first came in, we've been busy. We have remodeled the foyer, the lobby, and so it looked like a lobby at minimal cost, okay? So, but our next thing is our basketball playoff situations. Tonight, the girls are playing. If they win tonight, they're gonna play again on February 26th. That's the state semifinals. If they win then, they'll play on February 28th. I get Mr. Stalldeck will send you out something concrete other than this. That's the girls' situation. The boys, they're gonna play on Thursday night. And from now on, it's do or die. You win or you go home. So after Thursday night, the next game is February 25th. If they win there is March 4th, and they win there, the state championship is March 6th. Thursday night game will be home.
That's at 7.
It's at 7 p.m. I didn't go to the football banquet last night, but I was hearing several of y'all were talking about that, so you'll probably have to report on that. One other thing, I was talking with one of the high school students in church Sunday. We do have a student from Madison County High School representing the district at the state competition next Saturday at University of South Florida campus in St. Pete. It's the Poetry Out Loud contest, and I'll get you more information about that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Attorney items, Mr. Snicker, do you have anything?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. All right. Ms. Gibson.
I'd like to wish the Cowgirls the best tonight. We'll be there watching them and rooting for them. I'd like to personally like to thank Mrs. Clara Floyd. She's retired from our school system, but she continues to stay on and help us. We appreciate that. I'd like to remember the former superintendent, Mr. Bill Roberts, a wonderful educator who definitely made a difference in the lives of so many. And I attended the football banquet last night, and I was very impressed, and I'd like to thank everyone who was involved in that.
Ms. Williamson.
I'd like to commend Ms. Joseph on how nice the foyer looks. It looks like a professional building.
It was a team effort.
And I too want to send my condolences to the Roberts family and let them know that as a board member that served under him, Mr. Alford and I, that he did a lot for our district in his years of service, and we so much appreciate it, and our district was better for it.
Okay, Ms. Bell.
I would like to also say that the foyer looked really, really good. I said something about it when I entered in today. I want to send my condolences to Mr. Roberts' family. And the Lord be with them through their grieving process. And I want to wish the Cowgirls luck tonight.
Mr. Alford.
I too attended the football banquet last night. It was really nice. It was great to recognize so many students and their hard work. The parents were there. It was just a really nice evening. I also would like to remember and recognize the former school superintendent, Mr. Bill Roberts. I too had the honor to serve with him. When I was elected in 2002, his term was from 2000 to 2004. And he was a kind, gracious gentleman that, like Ms. Williamson said, you can't really describe it unless you served with him. And he was just a kind person and believed in being nice to everyone and had a pledge of civility. Like when you came through the door, unfortunately, these days people maybe don't read the pledge as they come in, but he did try to. And it was during a time when we needed someone like that, and he did a great job, and it was just an honor to serve with him and remember he and his family in this time. I want to thank Ms. Joseph for all her hard work, and the lobby does look great, and thank the people who helped with it. It looks really nice, and again, to congratulate the Cowgirls tonight and wish them the best, and the boys Thursday night. And as we prepare for the FSA, it's upcoming and right around the corner, the 1st of April or the end of April?
First part of April.
First part of April. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And I also would like to send out thoughts and prayers to the family of late Mr. Roberts. Wish them the very best during this tough time. And also send my Also, it was mentioned that some of the board members had the pleasure of attending the football banquet. I wasn't there because I was rendering my services at the livestock show. It is, I think it's customary that the board chair serve as the ribbon presenter. And that was, believe me, that was quite an experience. So when I went to I was sharing with Mr. Clay, when I went to the event, I went up into the bleachers thinking that I was gonna sit up there throughout the service. And they were like, no, you gotta come down here with the pigs and stuff. So that was quite an experience, running around and dodging pigs and everything. But it was a good experience for us. But I also wanted to congratulate the girls' basketball team as well as the boys' team. They're doing a wonderful job this year. And last but not least, I wanted to wish my beautiful, lovely, wonderful wife, Lisa, happy anniversary of 25 years today.
Sweet.
And we're so thankful. I'm thankful to have her as a wife, and I just want to wish her a happy anniversary.
Sweet.
We wish you both an anniversary.
So on that note, do we have no public comment? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I made the motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion